FTKs, FTKs, FTKs. I swear, every format there seems to be a new FTK. What's going on, you guys? Slim here with a new video today, and I'm here to tell you guys that even though there is the ROKKET FTK, which is technically an OTK, but it's being called an FTK, it's not unbeatable. It's actually quite beatable, and if you guys look around YouTube, there are plenty of ways for you to, play the deck, use the combos, do whatever, play through hand traps, but people don't really tell you, how you actually beat the FTK. I think there's like one or two videos that might tell you. They don't include all the ways, but they include a lot of good ways, so this was the inspiration for the video. But today I'm going to give you guys the most efficient ways to actually beat this FTK. I'm going to show you guys right now. There's a lot of them. If you guys are new here, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell. You guys will be notified whenever I upload. You'll also be notified when I stream over on Twitch. Link is in the description. We're going to get started. Just for you guys that are unfamiliar with the FTK, is basically just the opponent ends on Union Carrier with the Earthbound Immortal that I can't pronounce. They have a Rocket Tracer on the board, a Boral Sword, whatever. And basically, they Black Garden you. You take 4,000 from the Black Garden and the Earthbound Immortal effect. You then take 2,000 from the Exploder Rocket, and then on your turn, the Exploder Rocket you again. So you take 2,000. That's exactly 8,000. Now there are a lot of ways to stop this FTK, so we're going to get into them. So a lot of hand traps that don't actually get mentioned. I'm going to put down the first three that don't get mentioned enough. I think they're really important. Not every deck is going to play them, but if you do have them at your disposal for your side deck or your main deck, probably most likely your side deck, you can play them. So they are Joel and Logbird, Dimension Shifter, and Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Now these are cards we haven't seen in a while, so people are probably wondering, okay, how on earth do you stop this? Well, Droll should kind of come as no surprise. Droll always seems to pop up into a format whenever an FTK exists. Do you guys remember the Danger FTK? You know how the Danger FTK lost? They got Drolled. Do you know how they also lost? They also lost, I can't remember if they lost this or if they lost to Ghost Reaper, but I think they did as well. But mostly they lost to Droll. The reason is this deck has to search. The minute they search off anything, like say they search Boot Sector Launch off of the Striker Dragon, or they search, I don't know, they search for Black Garden, they do whatever, you Droll them, they get no more searches, they get no more pluses off that, and you could literally just drop Droll and that's it. Like, that's actually pretty crazy. I know that this is not right now a popular hand trap, but this could just be a very good side deck option for you guys in order to beat the FTK, because I think it's important that we do have as many outs as possible. Droll is just one of those cards. I'm telling you, it comes in and out of every format, and the minute an FTK pops up, guess who's there to help? Droll. Droll was also there, if you guys remember, during the Pendulum FTK because of how much the deck searched. So I'm telling you right now, history repeats itself in this game constantly, and Droll is an excellent card that you can use to just stop them from searching, and the turn passes back to you and you just do your thing. So Droll, you're awesome. Next card is Dimension Shifter. Now, let's be honest. How many decks are playing this? Not that many. Thunder tried to play it. It was cute. It was gimmicky. It worked, but you're not going to see it that much anymore. But for any deck that can play this, I feel that this is more of a side deck card. I've seen this as a side deck card in random decks, but your deck really has to support it because it cuts off the graveyard for both players for both turns. That is important though, because being able to just, put everything in the banish pile instead of the graveyard is insane. Their searches don't work. Their, their loops with like their dragons don't work. And yes, this card, what I like about this card is you can just shotgun this card. The minute they do something, you just shotgun this card. If you're going first or going second, like if they, try to do anything, you just drop this. It's amazing. Like I said though, I feel it's one of the most tentative cards because only certain decks can play it. However, I think this card is just very strong. And like I said, if your deck can play it, if you're like a stun player or you're a Grandmaju player or any deck that benefits from banishing, hey, give Shifter a chance. I think the card's really solid. And it's a card that even though it was the least popular card from the Megatins compared to Dark Ruler and Nibiru, I think it's definitely one of the other really good promos that people just don't pay enough attention to. I mean, it's a walking macrocosmos for a reason, so give it a try out, but only if your deck can play it. That's just my hindrance to you, because if your deck cannot support it, then it's obviously not going to be that good, because it has to be the only card in your graveyard. So just remember that. And then Winter Cherries. This was brought to my attention. Everyone's thinking, God, look at their extra deck. It's like a bunch of 1-ofs and like 2 Striker Dragons. What on earth do you hit? So I thought you hit Alkalki Fibrax. I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, well, they do some crazy combo. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to stop them? Am I supposed to Cherries the card that searches Black Garden? They can hard draw Black Garden. The card you actually do hit is Union Carrier, and the reason you do that is because I saw in the combo Union Carrier equips the Earthbound Immortal even if you draw it, because you could equip it from hand or from a deck, and basically if you Cherries the Union Carrier, they never get to it. Another thing that this does is that this stops them from doing the Buster Lock, the Destruction Sword, as a backup in case that FTK does fail. So say you stop them and then they're just like, all right, I'm gonna Buster Lock. Guess what? It's kind of like an FTK, because if you use your extra deck, well, you can't use your extra deck, so you fundamentally can't play the game. But Cherries actually stops that. Now again, this is a very tentative side deck card that only certain decks can play, but I'm telling you, between this and Droll, these are like the best cards against the FTK, and I think these are cards we might potentially see people side decking specifically for that matchup. So I wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. Now more of the generic stuff. So this is just the stuff that really shouldn't come as a surprise. Ash Blossom. Ashing stuff, I mean, you can do a lot of things. Like, people don't know when to ash this deck. I've made the mistake too. Like, it's kind of hard. You know, there's so many different things that could be ashed. You also have to think, oh god, is my opponent playing Herald? That can be a problem too, because then your hand trap becomes useless. The thing with Ashe is, like, the best card that I have heard, now you can tell me in the comments below if I'm wrong, the best card they say to usually ash is if you can ash the Search of Black Garden, if you can ash the effect of Rocket Tracer to summon the Exploder Rocket. I believe that's what it ends up doing. That's one of the best places to ash, so that is important. Since the board does usually end, like I said, on Boral Sword, Union Carrier, and the Rocket Tracer, when the Rocket Tracer goes to activate the effect, you just Ash Blossom it, and that usually does stop the FTK. You are at only 2,000 life points, but at least you get to actually play the game. That's the problem, is that even though this is technically not an FTK, you basically don't get to play the game. So it's important that you remember that Ashe does have plenty of applications. Just don't use it, like, don't use it on Striker Dragon for Boot Sector launch. Don't make the mistakes I've made. Like, just Ash Blossom at the correct time and you should be fine, since this is, again, one of the most generic hand traps this format. Next, I have Effect Veiler, and I'll also put Impermanence next to it, since they are basically kind of the same card. Kind of, sort of, maybe not. But the thing is, this comes down to, okay, what are the most important cards to hit? This goes back and forth. Again, it all comes down to if the opponent has Herald. Now, if the opponent has Herald, you do have the ability to Imperm and then Nibiru, which is very strong. I didn't put Nibiru here because obviously, if you don't have Imperm with it, you know, they just put up Herald, you can't really do anything. They can play through Nibiru. Remember that. They can FTK you through Nibiru, so I didn't put Nibiru here for that exact reason. These were just the more, like, generic ideas outside of stuff that they already can play around that you can just at least stop them outright. Again, being able to Veiler the Union Carrier is huge. That play alone is huge. I didn't realize how impactful that was until I realized, okay, if they're accessing the Earthbound Immortal from Union Carrier's effect and you Veiler or Impermit, that stops that combo, which means not only can they not Earthbound Immortal you, they can't actually even use, again, the Buster Lock. Like, you have to remember that this deck is really evil. It literally FTKs you, or it creates a pseudo FTK with Destruction Sword. So just remember that. If you have either of these cards, you can hit those cards, and that's super important. I'm sure there's other places where you can hit it, but I'm trying to come up with the most effective ways to stop this FTK, and I think that these cards, since they are basically the same card, are great. The ability to Imperm is important too. Like I said, if they put up Herald, it can be a problem. Make sure you just, if you have Imperm, you can Imperm Nibiru, you can Imperm do whatever, and play around their FTK, and I think that's really important. These cards are, again, some of the most generic hand traps in the game. Probably main deck worthy. Most main decks are main decking these or side decking these, so again, this is just a video on how to, you know, stop the FTK pretty much at all costs. So we have both of those. And then lastly, two of my favorites, Call by the Grave. This one's pretty easy. This is the first thing I thought of when I saw the FTK, when I realized how it works. So the Exploder Rocket Resolving Engrave, guess what? Call by the Grave just completely just banishes it and negates that. Now, you will be down to 2,000 life points, but that doesn't matter. Life points are not as important these days in Yu-Gi-Oh! As they used to be. Being able to survive with 2,000 life points and play through their board is important, because Call by the Grave, you just Call by the Grave it and that's it. So that's pretty strong in my opinion. I think that's really strong. I'm sure there's other cards Call by the Grave can hit, but more effectively I've noticed, I've been watching people on stream today as well play Call by the Grave against the deck, literally Call by the Grave the Exploder Rocket, and guess what? They're at 2,000 life points, but guess what? You get to play. You have 5 cards left in your hand, you get to play, so it's pretty crazy. I think Call by the Grave has always just been one of those amazing cards. People would also argue DD Crow. I didn't put DD Crow because I don't think it's as impactful. Like, you could Crow, but at the same time, I'd rather banish and negate, so I think that's super important. So I think Call by the Grave is definitely superior in that sense, and also just very strong against the FTK. So Call by the Grave, amazing card. And last but not least, the best card, like the most
busted card against them that is just so stupid, but you guys should already know this is BAM! Spell speed 4, you can't respond. Guess what? Turn player priority, bitch. Super Poly into your Starving Venom Dragon. That's just pretty standard. They end on the darks for you. You just do it. They have the Tracer and the Boral Sword. You literally just smack down Super Poly and call it a day. Like literally, that's what you do. You're at 2,000. Who cares? You just summoned the Starving Venom and probably got the boost from whatever monster they had on the board, and you just start summoning monsters and you just kill them. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, Super Poly shouldn't come as a surprise. This card's insane. Going first or going second, you can just stop the FTK flat out. Turn player priority is amazing. So just remember that. Spell speed 4, it's pretty broken in this game. But yeah, that's it, you guys. That's today's video. I wanted to keep it very straight and forward. I want to shout out Bortle because he gave like a lot of the fundamentals for this, and I think it's really important that you guys pay attention to that. And when the players talk about how to beat the FTK, look at all the options you have, guys. This isn't even all of them. There's so many other cards I could have mentioned. There's cards like Token Collector. There's other cards I didn't even, bother to mention because these are just cards that I noticed in videos, and I think it's just really important to remember that you have all these options. You can beat all of these FTKs with these cards. If you guys are trying to look for these cards, if for some weird reason you don't have these cards as you should, you probably should have all these cards. But if for some reason you don't, consider using my TCG player link. It's in the description below. Helps out the channel. I appreciate it, yada yada yada. You guys know how it is. But yeah, FTKs are not unbeatable, you guys. If you play the right cards in your side deck or main deck, you can be successful against them. And I think it's really important that we know how to stop an FTK even in 2020, because you know what, for some reason every format in Yu-Gi-Oh produces an FTK no matter what. But it's pretty crazy. But that's the video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you can think of other ways to stop the FTK, leave it in the comments below, and I'll definitely be sure to have the conversation with you about it there. But yeah, it doesn't matter if there's a new FTK in the format. We have the tools to beat them, and beat them we shall, unless we just don't draw any of them. But well, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's today's video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.